Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's kind of a hidden universe. I mean,
There, well put.
with 48 hours, we did a lot of our
universe.
stuff on location.
Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Napick. Every week, we talk with interesting people in a variety of professions for ideas to enhance your success in all aspects of life. Successful Living with Bill Napick starts right now. Here's Bill Napick.
Welcome to the show. It is Successful Living with Bill Napick. Today with Jenna Jackson. This is a special P&R Creative Edition, and it's extra special because we get to spend the whole time talking to broadcasting legend super Jenna Jackson, founder of P&R Creative. We're going to find out about her fascinating background and also pick up a few ideas along the way. So, Jenna Jackson, here's Jenna.
Oh my gosh. You make me sound so much more interesting than I am, Bill.
Well, we haven't even unfolded the various rose petals yet because you really have. People have heard you here on the show, but when we learn more about you, first of all, P&R Creative right here in Houston, Texas, simply put, you're helping people tell their story, right?
Yes.
So let's first tell people about P&R Creative, and then we'll learn more about your background and how
I got here.
How you do what you do at P&R.
As we talk a little bit about what I've kind of done over the years, you'll see that the thing that I love and have always loved since I was a little kid is storytelling. So that's really what P&R Creative Group does right now. We tell your story, whether you're a nonprofit, a company, a person who's about to go on a book tour, whatever it is. Every single person has a story and a brand, and we sort of help you develop that and connect to your potential audience, clients, viewers, if it happens to be via video. And we tell stories through PR, media relations. We do branding, social media. We do a lot of video because that's really the core of where I started. Magazines, print. So just sort of however, there are so many venues to tell your story. As you know, radio is a huge one. So that's how we work with every client individually and figure out what's your story, who are you trying to connect with to grow your business, and we help you get there.
And as we learn about your background, therein lies, in all our life experiences, lies some of the tools that we all use now to be able to do whatever we do.
Right.
So that's going to be fascinating when we get into that point. But let's also tell people as they're listening, and we say it's the fourth largest city, Houston, Texas. And, of course, we'll tell people you go beyond the Houston area. But they're also saying from a media market that it's, I don't know if it's the sixth or fifth largest media market in the United States, where we sit right here.
Yep.
And one of the things, as you're helping people, as you've had guests on the show, helping them tell their story, sometimes I forget the power of a platform like this, where it sits just from the local broadcast in Houston,
Right.
let alone the internet and the worldwide potential if someone's going to listen. But as these broadcast signals go out at the time of broadcast, I'm always excited when I think about it. Who's listening? And these words fall on the ears sometimes of people that want to be able to tell their story. They tuned in on the right day.
That's right. They have. I mean, you and I were talking about earlier, the world has changed. Podcasts are a huge vehicle right now for storytelling. And this is a podcast, only better because you've got a huge radio station network, broadcasting it out every week for you. So it's really exciting. It is, and you have the YouTube channel, right? Which I know
That's right.
you'll talk about, but you've got kind of that combo of radio and video storytelling going on. And I think, I always tell my clients, if you can't be sitting in front of someone, talking to them, connecting, looking them in the eye, the next best thing is video, radio. They can get you. They can figure out what they're about. People like working with like-minded humans who have similar goals and things in common. And I feel like, as business owners out there, if you can connect with your audience and they want to work with you, I mean, you know this better than anyone, Bill. You know, yes, Houston is the fourth largest city, but it's also like the smallest town ever. Everyone knows each other.
That's
You
true.
know everyone. You don't go to a restaurant anywhere in this huge town without meeting someone that, bumping
It
into
is
someone
amazing.
you know, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's because, business is about relationships, right? So you want to have a relationship with who you're working with. You want to establish that, and you want to have that connection. And so I think that's what I've had, kind of a crazy, wild, varied past, doing a lot of different kind of storytelling, a lot of crime, which
People love
I'm doing a
crime
little of
stories.
now, but not a lot. But
Right.
people are fascinated because it's like the human condition, and those stories, they're high stakes. Everyone's
Life and death in many cases.
everyone's fascinated by them. But I think everyone likes a good story, and in my mind, everyone has a story to tell. It's just a matter of getting in front of the right people and telling it in the right way so that it connects.
I don't know, I'm no expert, but it goes back to even when we're kids. What do they do to get you to sleep? Tell a
Bedtime
story.
stories, for
Or
sure.
what do they do to even get you to take the medicine maybe that you didn't want? Or eat the broccoli. Well, listen, this broccoli is going to be or Popeye, the spinach. It's
Yeah.
going to make you
It's
stronger.
going to make you strong. It's
So
going to,
they put something to it, and don't be confused when we say tell a story. We're not talking about telling any mistruth,
Right.
But just like a wine label, it brings you in and it makes you think about that liquid that's in the bottle to say, this is enough to try it if I
Right.
haven't had this particular brand before.
Right, exactly.
So it's very powerful. And as I'm thinking out loud here, there ought to be a class somewhere in grade school, the power of storytelling,
Really
because
should
it's a
be.
part of our lives in a massive way every day in every category, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. I recently wrote a column for a local magazine about basically that everyone has their own story and everyone has their own brand, right? And no matter if you're thinking about what your brand is every day, developing it in a way that's strategic or not for business purposes or nonprofit purposes or whatever your passion is, you're putting a brand out there, right? You're telling a story based on how you treat people, how you meet new people and how you introduce yourself, just how you act in all aspects of your life. Don't get me started on how much I lecture my teenage boys about this. Social media, everything you have around you portrays your brand. And it sticks. And we didn't
Now
call
it
it a
sticks
brand
more
growing
than
up,
ever
but
when
it's
you're-
reputation, right?
Right.
All you have is your reputation. I remember my mom used to say that growing up. But your story and your brand is a part of that. It's who you are and how you connect with people. And I think that yes, that happens personally when we meet a new friend or a new person or whatever. But it's also very important in the business world, because how do you stand out?
We're talking with Jenna Jackson, founder of P&R Creative, broadcasting extraordinaire, and an author. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to get into your background, because when people enlist your services right now at P&R Creative, whether it's a company, an individual, maybe even a realtor, who knows, they're getting the benefit of your experience. But before we do that, I want to go back to what you said about the aspect of the storytelling in the video. And one of the things I hear about this all the time, especially in the real estate world, where people are using the videos, because when we see people before we know them, or we hear them on the air, or we see them on TV or a video of Facebook, we get to, if we see it enough and it's something that engages us enough to watch it again and again, or to be receptive to that, we get to know that person. So when we meet them the first time, it's like, oh, I kind of felt I knew you. Even though we don't say that necessarily, we have that feeling. And then it's, are you who I thought you were, or maybe even better?
Right.
So you are a Texan, your background.
I am a Texan. Yes, I was born in Laredo, Texas, on the border.
Yeah,
Here we go.
go.
Unfortunately, to my great dismay, never learned Spanish, but that was just a really bad decision. I took French in high school. But I grew up mostly in East Texas, a little tiny town called Jacksonville, Texas.
We think
Near
of Jacksonville,
Tyler.
Florida.
I know.
But there's a Jacksonville, Texas.
Jacksonville,
Let the word
Texas.
go forth.
Yep.
There we go. Okay.
12,000 people. We did a great documentary about Jacksonville, Texas that if, anyone's more curious, they can watch. But it's a great little town, very, small town Texas, Friday Night Lights. That's where I grew up for the most part.
Well, somewhere along the line, as you grew up, what was it about journalism, telling the story, reporting the story? I mean, we're telling stories, but we're also reporting the story. And in reporting, you're telling the story. So somewhere along the line, tell us about that early beginning into journalism and media.
I'm sure my mom would have a lot to say about this, but I was always curious. I was always trying to get people to tell me their story. I always had a million questions, which I'm sure was super annoying. I'm guessing you were a little bit like that as a kid too.
Curious.
Just a little bit. I feel like curiosity kind of drives the world, right? It
does.
It makes things interesting. I think in high school, well, I'll back up. In junior high, I had this amazing teacher. I went to this little tiny private school, and I had this amazing teacher who was obsessed with journalism, poetry, writing, just sort of all things literature. And so I really gained a love of that in middle school even. And then when I got to high school, I started writing for the high school newspaper and the yearbook. And it was really I kind of had two career options. I thought that I would be a dance teacher. I was very into dance. And then I injured myself my senior year in high school. And the only other thing I knew how to do was write. And I mean, that sounds silly, but I was like, well, that's all I know how to do. And I could talk to people. I was always good at talking to people, getting them to kind of,
Even early on.
Even early on. Yeah. I was just always
There's the curiosity at play.
And I was curious. I do think that's part of it, I took to television producing really easily, and people would ask me why I was so good at it. And I was like, I guess my parents and how they raised me, because I am genuinely curious about what your story is. And there's no judgment there. I mean, I ended up doing a lot of crime reporting. I really did want to know how this person accused of murder got to that spot, and how did they grow up? And I don't really think people are born evil. So, what got you here? What was that moment? What led up to it? I was genuinely curious, sort of without judgment, just wanted to hear people tell their stories. And I think, being a journalist was so fun because, people talk about you're supposed to be unbiased, and everyone comes to things with bias a little bit, but it was fun to just collect these stories and let people tell them, and then let the viewers hash it out and decide what they think. Of course, I always had an opinion, but I didn't share it. So
we're going to get to your documentary experience and a lot of this comes from your CBS, working at CBS for 15 years. But to be said, as you're saying, you're talking to people, you're sitting across from people that were either accused of murder, did the murder, and are saying they didn't, probably, right?
There were a few of those.
Maybe there
were a lot of those.
Maybe there's some, you have some prison experience as well.
Yeah.
You may have talked to someone that actually said, yeah, I did it, now I'm serving my time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so you had that early interest, and the curiosity is driving you. You derailed from the physical career of dancing. In a way, talking is kind of like dancing, right?
It is a different dance, Bill. That's a very good point.
Yeah, it's dancing.
Yeah, it is. Well, so I went to Sam Houston. I had a dance scholarship. I lost that because I got hurt. And so I also had a journalism scholarship. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm majoring in journalism. And Sam Houston is an amazing university, but it's also the prison capital in Huntsville, Texas, right? I think there are 11 or 12 prisons within the city limits. It's pretty nuts. Sam Houston State backs up to the Walls unit where they carry out executions. So I don't know. I had always been fascinated by crime. A lot of people are. My parents were appalled by that, but I just always had been. So early on, I was the editor of the college newspaper, and then I applied for a full-time job. I was paying my way through school. So I applied for a full-time job at the local newspaper, the Huntsville Item, and the position that was open was covering prisons. And that was maybe one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. I mean,
Okay, when you say covering prisons, what did that entail?
so I was reporting prison news in Huntsville, Texas, which small town, right? But a way bigger stage and audience because these prisons would get national news. So I got such incredible experience. I spent every Wednesday on death row talking to people who were, whether they said they did it or not, had been convicted and given the death
You're
penalty.
talking to these people.
Yep. And I'm 19, 18, 19, 20. I was witnessing executions at that point. I don't know if what that did to my psyche. We could have Jennifer Pinkerton back in and
Right.
assess that. But I mean, it was fascinating,
It
you
is.
know? It was fascinating work. And I covered some humongous stories. And so national news media would come in for those from all over the world, really.
And literally where we are recording right here in the Galleria area of Houston, many people are familiar with that. You're talking about executions that are taking place hour and a half away,
Right.
maybe 2 hours away.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
North, going north.
Yep, going north, 45 north. You hit Huntsville. You see Big Sam looming
Well,
over
just
the
a
trees.
side note, outside of the prison aspect,
Yeah.
on a real estate aspect, I've looked at a lot of property in the last year, how that area is growing. New Waverly,
Yeah, it's
Elkins
beautiful.
Lake. I mean, there's a lot of attract. Just saying, I don't have anything to gain, but
No,
that is
it's-
the forest up there.
It's beautiful. Sam Houston National Park is so gorgeous. We have a lake house in Livingston now,
Okay.
and it's on the other side of that huge forest.
Exactly.
And it's gorgeous. It's very East Texas, kind of where I grew up.
And the other thing I learned about that area, in these little pocket areas and neighborhoods, a lot of law enforcement end up either retiring there or they live there.
They do. Yeah.
So
And, you know, a lot of law
don't
enforcement.
break into any homes up there.
It's
or
not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Crime tip.
Yeah, people would all crime tip number one. You may get a few more. But it was fascinating. And so that really cemented me getting into kind of the world of crime reporting because, you know, I was getting such amazing experience as a college student. That experience really helped me in my career. And then the other huge thing that obviously got me to start my career was Dan Rather, talk about a broadcasting legend, you know, has
this day.
covered everything since JFK's assassination, every single thing in between. It's amazing. He went to Sam Houston, came back for a lecture, and I met him. And it turns out, I didn't know this, but it turns out he had played high school football with my grandpa growing up here in Houston at Reagan High School. He took me under his wing and became a mentor and really, you know, he got me the first entry-level job at CBS and just always, every up and down in my career supported me through it, talked me through it. He just, you know, he's incredible.
Well, take us to the scene of working at CBS.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you worked there a total of 15 years or so, right?
Yep, I did.
Now, during that time, were you with Dan Rather most of that time, or how did that part work, the Dan Rather connection?
Yep. So he was the anchor of 48 Hours. So I worked
I watch that all the
primarily
time.
for 48 Hours for 15 years.
Say that again?
I primarily for 15 years I was with 48 Hours.
How cool.
It was cool. So it was all crime all the time. I mean, but we would also do some breaking news, you know. So if a huge story happened, like when JFK Jr.'s plane crashed, for example,
Right.
we got called out on that. They would sort of call us in to help with those kind of things. So I worked with Dan some. I think the only actual story I ever did with him was a hurricane story. We got trapped in Savannah, Georgia one time, his team, and I was helping them in a hurricane. I can't even remember which one it was, but he was always there in the background giving me advice. He would write me these amazing letters. I don't know if I've talked to you about this before. It's a project that I'm working on right now, trying to write a piece about how he impacted my life and how these letters that he would write me impacted my life and kind of kept me going career-wise. He had incredible grit. He came from nothing. He made it to the pinnacle of success in broadcasting. And inspiring guy.
Still a household name, and going back as the world evolves. Prior to internet, I mean, there were just 3 stations at one time, and he was on one of them in a major way during those early times. Think of it. People still know CBS, NBC, ABC, big, solid names that are chiseled in stone.
Yep.
And here we are. Can you believe it? We're in 2023. But nonetheless,
I really can't.
And the things that have changed. But give us an idea. You have principles and keys that have propelled you, and right now I'm going to say curiosity, determination are at least 2 of them. But in your observation, we learn also by observing. And to observe, you've been around Dan Rather and other professionals, Katie Couric, right?
Yeah, amazing.
In the CB, you worked 15 years in the CBS building,
right?
Okay, I've never been in that building, but in that building are so many things. The David Letterman show was there. Oh, did you ever meet Paul Schaefer, by the way?
No, I didn't.
I love that guy, the organ player.
Yeah.
But all the stuff that took place or takes place in that building is incredible. 48 hours.
And historic, 60 minutes. I mean, think about what
you saw
an
those
indelible
studios.
mark.
You saw them.
Yeah.
You could walk around.
Yeah, and I moved to New York fresh out of college. I was 21, maybe just 20, because I graduated college a little early, moved to New York with nothing, and walking through the front doors of the CBS News studios for the first time, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I mean, I literally think I almost fainted.
Well,
I grew up in a town of 12,000 people,
right.
Bill,
and here you
super
are
poor, and I'm like,
this is a big
oh
time.
my God, I'm way out of my league. Yeah. And turns out, I tell kids this all the time when I talk to them, you're never out of your league. Just go work harder. Just get there earlier and stay later and just work harder. I was never the smartest person in the room, but I probably was the hardest working, And
that's what Will Smith says.
And I wanted it. I wanted it more than the kid who had been raised with everything and gone to Harvard. I mean, I just did, So it was just the grit. I don't know.
On many shows, one of the things I remember about 48 Hours and other shows of that sort, one of the things they did, because commercials were a big part of the show.
Yes.
I mean, that's
how they make the money.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure as you were producing that show, there's a calculated way where you say, here's where we're going to break, right? To where you're like, there was always something brought forth to where it's like, okay.
The end of an act. Yes.
The end of an act. But you
you
better
always
stay
need a
with us.
cliffhanger.
You better stay with us because you're going to find out after we come back, right?
Exactly.
And that's what we're going to do right now. We're talking to Jenna Jackson with P&R Creative, a fascinating story. Her story is incredible. We're going to find out more in just a second. At P&R Creative, your story is our motivation. We want to tell your story in a way that resonates with your target market, whether that be your employees, your investors, potential customers, or a global television and film audience. Reach out to us through our website, prcreativegroup.com. That's prcreativegroup.com, or call us at 832-553-6208. 832-553-6208. Reach out to us. As we continue with Jenna Jackson, P&R Creative, last we left, we were at CBS, walking in the halls at the pinnacle, and have your job there. You're there 15 years. So tell us, one thing I want to ask, we mentioned your work with Dan Rather, but you saw so many professionals at the top of their realm and in, quote, the big time, we'll call it. But what did you see? Well, let's take Dan Rather, for instance. As you saw him work, there were behind the scenes as he's getting ready to be on a broadcast, or maybe he's writing things to prepare. Mm-hmm. You saw him being recorded on the news and things like that. What did you see that someone like that, what did you learn from them as far as their disciplines? What were your observations about seeing that in action? Because you're seeing something that most of us don't see. And a lot of us are interested in what goes on behind movies and things like that. And to see people that are able to have the mindset to get the job done, to, quote, perform.
I mean, I think there were a lot of things. You said discipline, and that was one of them. I worked closely with Dan. I also got to work closely with Katie Couric, and they are very different personalities, very different brands. But, what they had in common, and a lot of these guys and ladies and men, they were all about, when they were there doing their craft, they were super focused. They would get there early. They would read everything. You sometimes hear about television personalities or correspondents who sort of like get handed everything and they're just the on-air personality. I mean, there were a few of those, but not these guys, not the ones at the top. They read every detail. They were so prepared. I always loved working with them because I would come in prepared, right? So if you're sitting with Katie Couric and she's getting ready to go do a show, she's going to ask you every single question you've thought of and probably 10 more that you haven't, because she's so smart and she's dug into everything, and she's not just going by the packet you gave her. She's going to Google extra or go down, pull these other articles or whatever. So, I think these guys were so disciplined and prepared. It was fascinating, though, because, you could be sitting there talking to Dan, and then they would be like, okay, we're on in 15 seconds. And I get panicky. I mean, like,
right.
Okay, oh my gosh, all these people are about to be watching, and I'm like, hit the road. And Dan was just, laughing, personable, and then would turn to the camera and be the consummate professional. And I was always so impressed by that. And it didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter if he was in the middle of an election and things were going crazy. He was known for his like Texanisms, during election coverage.
That's right.
It didn't matter if Columbine was happening and we're all, out there talking to these families and struggling not to like break down and cry and try to do your job. He was always the consummate professional. It was just, I would say it was a gift, but I also think he worked really hard at it. It's just like being that trusted voice.
Well, speaking of Dan Rather, just take us an aside. I want to get back on the track, but other than his life as a broadcaster, as you got to know him, what did he do for fun?
He's a whiskey drinker. He's a Texas boy, I mean, he and I don't often agree on politics. I will say that.
Okay.
He's mostly out of the news business now. He's a
he
little
needs
more
to go to the
liberal
Federal
than
Grill
I.
and have some of that bourbon.
He does, but
Unless
he
he's been
would
there.
love Federal Grill. He would.
That's right.
Be there in his blue jeans, and he's just a good man. He was one of those guys, and I do think this is a rare gift, where when you were talking to him, you felt like you were the only person in the room. He was completely focused on you. He would shake your hand with both hands
And look at you.
and you were like, oh my God.
Hey, wait,
And
don't pay that much attention to me.
I was always like,
you
I
might
can't
see
make
my
eye
flaws.
contact. Oh my God. But,
see my flaws.
he was just completely focused while he was talking to you.
Well, two thoughts come to mind. Number one, as you're describing Dan and Katie, trusted comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about even what you're doing at P&R Creative, telling someone's story, that's one of the things we want to get forth is trust.
Yep.
And that he was known for, as he reported, as he talked to America, people trusted him.
Yeah.
And that happens in a variety of ways. One, we earn trust, but the other thing, it has to do, I think, with mannerisms. As you're saying, the focus, looking in the eye.
Yeah.
So that's so important, and he did that in a massive way, as many of the professionals at that realm of broadcasting and communications do. The other thing I'm thinking of, I've never been on a movie set, right? Or a news set. I've never been in the CBS building behind the scenes as you have, and I hope we're painting the picture to make it interesting for people as they're listening. Correct me if I'm wrong. You go to work, right?
Yeah.
You're leaving your house, your apartment, which has stuff like most homes. It's got a bed, it's got an alarm, the alarm clock, a kitchen, a toaster. The toast is popping out right now. You might even have had a coffee. You go to CBS.
Yeah.
You go through doors, through a procedure, security.
Lots of security.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you walk through those doors, especially when you get to your destination, the set of whichever thing you're doing that day, it's another world, isn't it? The whole world is closed off. Yeah. Right? Just like a movie set, you're all of a sudden in a new place. Yep. And as far as there can't be distractions, I don't know if nobody's looking out windows, are they? I mean, you're in a set.
No, I had one office one time with a little tiny window, but no.
But right? So all of a sudden you're in another world
Yep.
to communicate to the masses.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's kind of a hidden universe. I mean,
There, well put.
with 48 hours, we did a lot of our
universe.
stuff on location. So we would go to wherever people were going through this crime story and interview them in their space, at their home or at the courthouse or in jail or whatever. But the CBS Evening News broadcast live from the set that you've all seen every single night. And to me, it was fascinating to see the control room, a room kind of like this, where all these people are in there controlling every technical aspect and going to commercial and coming back up and making sure the teleprompter was running and the scripts were there for Dan. And, someone's in his ear. We have breaking news. We just got word of this. You need to pivot, and it was just incredible. And I mean,
You said a hidden universe.
Yeah. I mean, it was insane. And I never
title of my next book, Hidden Universe.
got bored watching that.
No.
Friends from Texas would come in to visit me in New York, and that was always the coolest thing to take them to see,
Sure.
a live broadcast of the evening news and then get a picture at the anchor desk or whatever. I mean, it was just cool.
And they never forgot it, I bet, even those years back.
No, I mean, I never forgot it. And I worked there for 15 years, it was an incredible experience to have. And I mean, I grew up there, right? So I started when I was 20 and I'm 40, almost 48. I mean, I spent 20 to 35 at CBS. It was, some pretty formative years as a journalist in that space. And it was amazing.
That's right. 15 years of anybody's life is
it's a chunk.
It's a chunk, and it's formative.
It is.
At wherever you start counting the 15
especially
years.
because I was so young. That was my first real experience.
Well, it just dawned on me. All right, 15 years, your last day on the job. There was one day that was your last day, whenever it was.
Yeah.
So I guess you go in for your last day, and when you left, you walked out that door.
That was crazy.
And how'd you leave that? I mean, that sounds like such an exciting and fun job.
It was, what's funny about it is I don't think I ever truly left because, as you know, I've recently done a project with CBS again. I'm doing some producing for them again through our company just because I love it. There are always a million amazing stories in Texas. So when one happens, they generally call me and I'll go get it for them and help them get those interviews. But the reason that I left was, I was like, I've been here 15 years and at the wise old age of 35, I was like, I have to do something else. I mean, this can't be all I do. Looking back, I'm like, you're an idiot. But I did get amazing experiences. I went and worked with Katie Couric and Jeff Zucker, who ran CNN for several years after that. I got to launch a new daytime show at ABC with them. That was an incredible experience. I mean, during that, I did some amazing shows. I met J-Lo, went to her house in, Bel Air to Beverly Hills, whatever.
I really like her, yeah.
She's amazing. And her little twins were running around, and I had twins about the same age at the time. And I had so many incredible experiences. And then I started my own, what started as a video production company, telling stories just that way, and has grown over the last decade into a full creative agency where we are now, telling stories in every kind of imaginable format, which is really fun. But, as you know, the world has changed. I mean, back in the day at CBS, we had these huge cameras. There were 3 networks that people watched. Now we have these incredible little pocket-sized cameras that do more than those big cameras ever could have. And we have, hundreds of ways to get good stories. We have YouTube, we have podcasts, we have the internet, we have Facebook and Twitter, and I mean, Snapchat is doing video series now. There's just so much, and networks aren't what they used to be. It's really evolved. So I think, at least in my business, you have to keep up with that. So,
well, for any given type of media, again, YouTube, it could be a TV show, a movie, a Netflix, all these different things. I heard someone say this, going back to the days of those that were around where there were no internet. There was 3 networks, and then all of a sudden cable came, I guess. That was the next thing.
Yep.
But somebody said when they were talking about and this was a celebrity, I forget who, but they were talking about putting out a new show or something. He says, yeah, back then we were competing against 2 other stations. Now we're competing against everything that's ever been.
Yeah.
Because we can access
and you with your
broadcast
camera
from the
right
60s.
now. Yeah.
So the competition, and even like this little show, we say, hey, we're in the fourth largest city, but guess what? We're competing with so many things. I will say this, especially relating to as we look out the window here at KPRC and see all the cars.
Yep.
Here in Houston, Texas, for better or for worse, cars are on the road all the time. So that's a potential audience for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I will make a bet. I don't know what they're listening to as we look at these cars, and if you're listening as you
Hopefully
drive,
it's us.
we hope that, and please do and tell your
Like,
friends.
call me.
But I will venture this, that if you're in a car right now, you're listening to something.
For sure.
I don't know if it's music. I don't know if it's a podcast. It could be this show, another network, whatever. But usually people are not just sitting there silent in their car. So it's a huge audience, a potential audience.
Well, and it's exciting for businesses because while back in the day, if you wanted to advertise, for example, you couldn't, a small business can't afford to advertise on CBS Evening News broadcast, right? Back then. Now you've got so many options. You have radio, you have television, but you also have so many digital options. You can do, social media advertising that you really drill down to exactly what analytics you're getting and see how it's impacting your business. It's a whole new world. So it's a fun space to be in. It comes back to your story, right? If you can get out there and tell your story and be strategic about where you put it and who connects to it, then it can help you grow your business, which is what we're all looking for.
And as I'm thinking about it, Jenna, here you are, Jenna Jackson, P&R Creative. You're available to help people tell their story.
Yeah.
And I don't know who else is in your field, but I also don't know why anyone would use anybody else's services.
You're biased.
Well, but I'm telling you, if I go total factual and look at the experience that you're bringing forth and helping people with your knowledge and all that, why would you go anywhere else?
I agree,
Just
Bill.
saying. Let's tell
Plus,
people.
I'm so fun.
And you're super fun. Let's tell people the website, too, and how they contact P&R Creative.
Yes, for sure. Go to our website, prcreativegroup.com, prcreativegroup.com. The number's on there. You can call us. You can email me, Jenna, Jenna, at prcreativegroup.com. I have an incredible team. We're fun. We're knowledgeable. We love telling stories. We love meeting new clients and really digging in. We have such incredible clients right now. And I mean, that's the fun part of the day.
Let's tell people the different fields and categories. I mean, you're helping some of our friends at Jonathan's The Rub, Federal American Grill, but that's just the restaurants.
Right.
But you're in other categories of business.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, boutiques, energy companies. We work with technology companies. I mean, anybody who needs to connect with an audience, potential audience, we can help you tell your story. The fun part about bringing my reporting skills to this world now is I am good at digging into a new story or new client and really getting to know them and learning a new world, and then being able to help you figure out how to convey it and tell that story. Because it's what I've done my whole career, whether it was a crime story or the green dress that J-Lo wore and her amazing closet for Katie Couric. It's just about getting in there, learning. Everybody has a unique story to tell, wrapping your brain around what that is. And then, okay, who's your target audience and how do we connect with them in the best way possible? So for me, it's always a really fun challenge to learn kind of a new arena. So I mean, we have clients all over the board, and are excited to learn new things,
And you're helping people outside of just Houston, right? So if someone
Yes.
picks up this show here on the internet, somewhere, wherever,
Yeah.
you could still help them from afar
Yep.
in some way, depending on what they're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so much of this is digital, the digital world right now. So it kind of doesn't matter where you are. We still do a lot of video production work, and I have video crews who have literally gone all over the world for clients. I recently had a video team in Canada for a client. They're filming a bunch of stuff in Vancouver. It doesn't matter where you are. If you have a great story and you want to tell it, we're your group.
And I don't know what you charge, but it has to be a super value based on your experience and all the things that you bring to it, let alone your team.
Yeah.
The team is super. I met
The
some of your people
team
there. They're
is
unbelievable.
amazing. I like working with people who are good people, who have fun working, who share my passion for storytelling. My brother works with me. He's incredible. He's an incredible filmmaker. We have an amazing team. This shouldn't feel like you're getting a tooth pulled or something. It should be fun and creative and a process.
The process. So let's say someone is out there, maybe they might even be, just creatively speaking, they might even be in an industry that you haven't served yet or something that's emerging, new.
Yep.
But let's say the process is, and we'll keep it simple, I have the XYZ company and I want to get my story out. Maybe I even just heard this and I reach out to your website and call you. So what's the beginning? I say, hey, Jenna, I heard you on the Successful Living Show. I need some help. After that conversation, what's the step one?
So step one is, generally have a little kickoff call, so that I can then dig into your website, figure out what your goals are, get the team to kind of look at your company holistically, get to know whatever your business is, right? That's important for us to be able to wrap our brains around it, ask you any questions. Where'd you come from? How did this start? What's your passion? And then really, drill down on what story do you want to tell? Who's your potential target audience? And then we go back and put together a plan for here's how we think you can reach them. You may have this budget. You want to reach more people at a bigger budget. It's all very scalable.
Or we could say, hey, right now, I have this much,
right?
But if things work out, we could start putting
let's
more.
Grow together.
But we need something to get traction on maybe a smaller budget. And then,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's all very scalable. You can start as small as you need. And then if you see it working, which, by the way, is the key, you shouldn't work with anyone who can't.
You got to see the results.
Yeah, you're seeing that it's working. If for Federal Grill we're promoting their new protein bowls, it better be the top thing on the menu that week, right? The most ordered item, because we're spending so much time and resources to promote it. You see it start to work, and then you decide, you know what, I want to branch into this other community and start promoting there, or, another field, or broaden our audience.
Let's go back to the crime a little bit. I heard a statistic, don't know if it's true or not, but certainly it is of interest. But they say on podcast that crime podcast or stories about crime, reporting, true or fictitious, that they're one of the top podcasts because people, like you're saying,
they're obsessed.
We're curious to know from day one who did it.
Yep.
And by the way, I have to tell you about this author. I don't know if you're a reader, but I have up to this time been an audiobook reader. I always have an audiobook going.
Yeah.
But the other day, you talk about storytelling, I found an author just by chance that I actually read, where I had to read the page. It was so engaging. I read 2 books in 4 days.
Wow.
Considering my busy schedule.
Yeah.
Frida McFadden. You talk about who done it?
Really?
Well, you read these books,
Ooh.
you try to figure it out. She is a good storyteller. But anyway, just to
have to
discover
check her out.
You should check her out, and we should get her on the show, actually, now I'm thinking about it.
We should.
But people love the crime.
They love it.
And in this case, where it engaged me, it was like murders took place, and then murders one by one took place in one of the stories. I'm like, and she kind of gives you the little
crumbs.
she gives you Easter eggs here and there, and it's like, well, it could have been this person because of this. Oh, but it could have been
That's the thing about
It's
crime,
fascinating. It's a mystery. We like mysteries.
It's a mystery, but it's also human nature. I mean,
Right.
so it's like, how do you get to the point? I mean, we're working on a few crime projects right now, and one is about potential serial killers. I've run into a few over my career
That you interviewed?
that I interviewed.
They were already incarcerated?
One of them was not. And I recently did a show on a woman who's suspected of several. I don't know that she did them all, but it's
Is that the one I saw? Okay.
Yeah, that 2-part.
That was the 48
CBS.
hours.
It was, yep. So, but the concept of this show that we're working on is sort of, can anyone get to that moment in time where something terrible happens and they end up killing someone, taking another life? People disagree on this, but you just never know, right? Things come together in the perfectly awful way, and I've seen good people make terrible decisions in a fit of passion or rage or whatever. Now, serial killers are different creatures,
right?
Because you do it again and again and again, right? And so that's pretty terrifying.
And I would venture to say, speaking of authors, the most successful author, I think, in the history of the world, James Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
He's done real well with serial
He's
killers.
incredible.
And even she's been on the show. In fact, I posted it on Facebook recently. Tess Gerritsen.
Oh, yeah.
She had the book that drew me in there was a serial killer. What was his name? William Hoyt or something.
Oh,
His last
yeah.
name was Hoyt, but the book was The Surgeon and then The Apprentice. And super books, but it's something about, it's a horrible thing. I mean,
is.
me personally, I can't kill an animal. I can't fish. I don't want to fish. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking about, I don't even want to hurt a fish
Yeah.
or a bug. And now the bugs, I will get them out of the house or step on them, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
But other than
You
that,
might be a nicer human than I am.
I might be, but I just can't. Now, I will eat a hamburger, I'll eat a steak
Right.
and all
If
that.
it's
but
already dead,
I don't
I
want
mean,
to be
it's
the
fine.
one to do it.
Yeah.
But how can you take that escalated up? How can, and that
Yeah.
might be part of the fascination, how could another human being extinguish
Get to that point.
intentionally? Now, self-defense, I could understand that, but
Yeah.
intentionally hurt somebody, let alone extinguish their life.
And maybe plan it out,
Oh.
right? Because that's a whole other level, is the premeditation piece. I
Exactly.
mean, it is fascinating. And you started this piece of the conversation by saying that, the true crime podcasts are huge right now.
That's what I hear, yeah.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. I mean, and it is fascinating because it's trying to dig in to the mind of these people and the evidence and which way is the evidence going to lead you. And, it's fascinating.
Well, we probably have 7 minutes left, so we want to use them wisely. Let's make sure we're talking with Jenna Jackson with P&R Creative, and I know you're enjoying Jenna, but guess what? If you haven't tuned into the show before, she is a regular partner on the show every other week at least, so you can always check out Jenna. You can also go to my website, Radio Bill. That's right. That's my name, Bill. RadioBill.net, RadioBill.net, and you could access past episodes so you can see and hear Jenna as much as you want. But in the meantime, Jenna, what do we want to make sure people know about what you're doing, helping people in a tremendous way?
For sure.
I mean, we got another. I wish we got another hour. There's many other things, and we'll do it later. But
there's so many more crime stories. That's for sure.
I mean, I
but-
want to know about the at the death row. What was that like? The emotions that ran through you as a young woman, as you're witnessing people that are paying for the ultimate price for their crime.
Yeah.
And
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, but
I didn't realize how crazy it was at the time. And then I would sort of tell my story as I got older and see people's faces go, "What? Wait, you actually watched those?" And I'm like,
it's intense.
huh.
I would think
it was intense.
Yeah,
It was insane. Yes, we could have lots of shows talking about all the crazy crime experiences I've had.
We're going
over
to rename
years,
the
but
show Jenna Jackson's Infinite Universe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're patenting. Don't take that idea if you're out there.
That's
We'll
right.
sue you.
Don't
Just saying.
steal it.
So all right, but
We
let's make
could
sure
do
they know
that.
about your business and
Yes.
know that they can enlist your services for just a song.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a super
No,
deal.
we're pretty affordable.
You're
That is
you're
for sure.
affordable, and what you're getting, I think you're providing something that no one else can get.
I think it's
even with this radio show is one of the small features of
That's
it.
right.
When you help people, you provide this platform.
I
sometimes.
do. We bring our clients on this radio show a lot, which is such an amazing format to let them tell their stories. You know, we are about telling your story. So getting to know you as a unique company, nonprofit, individual, whatever you're trying to promote, whoever you're trying to connect with, we can help you do that. Whether it be social media, whether it be, television, radio, media pitches, however you need to tell your story, a new marketing video, training videos for your employees. I mean, it's really about what's your story and how do we help you tell it. And we've got the experience for, 20 plus years now of doing it.
Big experience too. I'm not. Hey, we're talking
Fun experience.
fun,
Yeah.
big.
I do know how to tell a
professional.
good story. That is for sure.
And one of the things you said there, I remember I worked with some major companies as well, but not in broadcasting. However, one of the things you talked about, training videos.
Mm-hmm.
We're telling
do
our
a lot of
story.
those.
We tell our story to the masses
Right.
to build our business in many cases, or to build a brand or build awareness. We tell them that, but we also have an internal story as a company.
Exactly.
We tell our associates wherever we are. That's very
Yeah,
important.
and every business owner and every company knows right now your people are your biggest asset.
And you want to keep the good people
You wanna
because it's
keep
hard to
them,
find good people.
and you want to encourage a good culture. And a lot of how you do that is through messaging and video messaging and graphics and your annual reports and your culture books. Internally. I mean, I feel like internal messaging is as important as external messaging. And sometimes it's
Right.
more depending on where the company is and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to grow that culture.
In fact, I remember when I worked for Church and Dwight Company, and people are like, Church and Dwight Company, what's that? Well, everyone knows the company. It's Arm and Hammer. But that
wow.
that was the logo, that was the brand that kind of stuck over 180 years. The company's in business, Arm and Hammer. They're telling a story, baking soda. But number two, I remember when it became popular where they talked about not telling the story, but that we have external customers and internal, just like telling the story, extra and internal. That was a thing back then. I was there.
They were
not
smart.
Quite as
That's
long. 14 years.
Probably why they've been around 180 years,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's incredibly smart. You have to take care of your people. I mean, I think of the work that we do. One of our biggest clients is Federal American Grill, who we love, love, love. And, we do a lot of external messaging for them. If you go on any of their social media sites, that's us, their website, we do radio media for them. But we also do, a quarterly newsletter. We do a lot of internal contests and stuff and help them kind of run those because your culture is key. If you take care of your employees will take care of your customers.
this session has come to an end.
So
At least for
fast.
now, this episode, but there are more. Tune in every week, everybody. We appreciate that. Again, tell your friends. We have Jenna Jackson. She'll be here on a regular basis throughout the year. P&R Creative. Once again, Jenna, the website and phone number is?
prcreativegroup.com, and just go on there. You can email me at jenna@prcreativegroup.com or call us via the website.
And just in case Dan Rather and Katie Kirk are listening, they may know.
Hi.
Hey, guys. They may
We
know
love you.
you, but they don't know me. Hey, and next time they come into town,
Now they do.
we'll take them to the grill or Jonathan's
That's
or
right.
both.
Yes, both.
Maybe I'll get to meet them, huh?
Yes.
Take
that
a
would
selfie.
Be
the
amazing.
three
They're
of you.
amazing.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Bill.
Successful Living with Jenna and Bill, Jenna Jackson's Universe. That's right. So tune in next week, please. My website is radiobill.net. That's right. That is the access to the YouTube channel where you can not only see the shows, but hear them as well. I meant to say that the other way around, where you can not only hear the shows, but you can see the fantastic guests. And right now, it's you and I, right, Jenna?
It is.
It's still fun.
This is fun. It's always
We'll see
fun.
you next week. Your website again, Jenna, is?
prcreativegroup.com. prcreativegroup.com.
Once again, thanks for listening all, and call Jenna Jackson.
Thank you. prcreativegroup.com.
Bill Nappick has produced another show, Successful Living with Bill Nappick, one of the most unique programs of its kind. Sundays from 6 to 7 p.m. on AM 950 KPRC. Successful Living with Bill Nappick. Go to radiobill.net for more info.